speaking. And earlier on, NASA leader Raila Odinga, accompanied by, of course, some of the NASA's top brigade, were in Vihiga County, and this is what they had to say. Let's listen in.
Julikana Kenya mzima. Nikaweka yeye kama waziri. Ameenda. Mpaka museme Jubilee tawe. Jubilee tawe. Jubilee tawe. Jubilee tawe. Sasa sisi tumesema tukishika hatamu ya utawala mwezi wa Agosti, tumesema ndani ya siku 100 gharama ya maisha itarudi chini na vijana watapata kazi. Vile vile tumesema kuanzia kwa shule, kuanzia nursery hadi form 4 watoto wanasoma bure bila kulipa karo yote. Na si tu si tu kusoma bure, hata kalamu ni serikali. Kalamu serikali, uniform serikali, kitabu serikali, deski serikali. Sasa watoto ni kuingia tu ndani ya darasa na kusoma. Sasa hata walimu talipa mshahara sawa. Na sio hiyo ni ahadi ya NASA, si ahadi ya Jubilee. Ahadi ya NASA watatimiza. Ya Jubilee wanasema Januari, hiyo ni kama ile ahadi ya laptop tu. Hakuna tofautizio. Sisi tunasema na tutatenda. Wale ahadi ya Jubilee ni kama kunyamba kwa punda. Kwa hivyo sisi tutoe moja.
I apologize for that technical hitch, but that was NASA leader Raila Odinga addressing his supporters in Busia. And of course, we're going to go live we're going to go live to Vihiga. That is where President Uhuru Kenyatta is, and he is currently attending a church service at Kaimosi. Now, let me just go straight to this. Brian, let me just start with you. We're seeing President Uhuru Kenyatta in Vihiga. That is where Raila Odinga was yesterday. And Raila is in the neighboring county, which is Busia. Why do you think these two main contenders for the top seat are really concentrating in Western Kenya so much? Because even early in the week, they were in Bungoma, others, why do you think that's the case?
To me, this is a very huge paradigm shift from previous practice, going by 2013, where the president and the team of Jubilee did not, waste much of their efforts actually trying to marshal the Western votes. But this time around, things are changing. Absolutely, you could see that wherever CORD does something, at least Jubilee also tries to undo it, and vice versa. Whenever Jubilee does, CORD also tries to outdo the gains that they have done. For instance, you could see they were in Meru, CORD was in Meru. Then after that, that was NASA. Then now after that, Jubilee had to go and undo the gains that perhaps NASA had done. Similarly, you've seen that Western has been taken as a stronghold for ODM and NASA for that matter. So Jubilee is trying to uproot whatever has been planted and is seemingly is looking like it's growing or germinating in a manner that they are trying also to consolidate or to increase their baskets in terms of having consolidated their backyards, which is the Rift Valley and the central Kenya. Now they are trying to, get inroads here and there, at least to make sure that they are able to match even NASA in terms of what they perceive to have gained in Western Bloc.
Prof, NASA was in Vihiga yesterday. Today, President Uhuru is attending a church service in Kaimosi. It's still in Vihiga County. It's still not clear whether he's going to hold a political rally there. But do you think these inroads that is being made by Jubilee, do you think it might translate into votes come election day?
Of course. The purpose is to gain votes.
Yes.
And one of the things that's coming out very clearly is that nobody has any votes to say this. They are there open in the field. And each candidate is looking for them. Even if you get only one, it's an additional one that was not there, before. So they are doing their best.
Yes.
In fact, the campaign itself is very good because it's bringing out some of the fire inside. And it shows that the main candidate really seriously wants the job. One is protecting the job, and the other one is trying to grab the job. And so they go out in a very serious way. Yeah. So the inroads, whatever the terminology, whether it's in the Western Zone, which for some time there used to be a claim that the West was very democratic because they voted for every party. Yeah. So, and there was that thinking. I think, given the last election, the assumption that the Western, former Western province is an ODM property or collection. So now there's been that erosion of that, the feeling that it is ODM's territory or the ODM people. So what you have the Jubilee people doing is going to disabuse that claim that the Luya as a people are ODM basket. Now, does that mean that they are or they are not? It remains to be seen, but there is serious infighting for that basket.
Jeremy,
same thing with other areas.
Let me just bring Jeremy in here. Jeremy, according to the 2013 statistics, actually Musalia Mudavadi, his hometown is in Vihiga County, emerged victorious. He got actually more votes than Raila Odinga. But now these two individuals have decided to join the same coalition. So do you think Jubilee really has a chance?
I think in terms of winning, they may not have a chance. But remember, as per the statistics, no total of Vihiga and Busia is about 320,000 votes as per 2013. And given that there was about 95%, that is Raila and Mudavadi, about 95%, with Uhuru taking 2%, meaning we have another 3% that they have to fight for. And remember, this time is 50+1, meaning every vote. Every vote counts in this matter. So I think going forward, I think they are doing, that shows that they are very serious in looking for the job. And again, they'll fight for the 3% because it's quite a big chunk of votes, I can say.
Thank you, Jeremy, for that. Speaking about fighting for votes, Busia County is one of the hotly contested county as far as the governor's position is concerned. There is Sospita Ojamong, who is going to contest, of course, on our ODM ticket. And Funyula, Member of Parliament, that is Paul Otuoma, who until recently was part of ODM, but he decided to go independent after what he termed as shambolic nominations. So let's just listen in to what these two leaders had to say earlier in a rally.
Nimeenda kule, katika vitabu zao wanasema wametengeneza mafaktori ya kuajiri watoto wetu. Lakini nilikuwa kule Amagoro, sijui kunafaa kuwe na factory ya juice, ile ya kutengeneza juice kule. Hakuna hata foundation peke yake. Lakini kwa vitabu ya hawa, factory imejengwa. Ikikuja ati sijui kampuni ya Mohogo, kule ya Mkura, Simbachai, pahali ya Siongo anatoka. Ni nyumba tu, lakini milioni 60 imeenda. Ati factory imejengwa kule Simbachai ya Mkura. Ukukuja hapa Angoromo hapa, Teso South hapa. ati wamejenga fertilizer factory, hata haijatoka kwa foundation. Sasa mtu anaweza tembea hapa afikiria ati unajua huko Teso Jamonga amefanya maendeleo. But there is nothing. Na hiyo ndio changamoto sisi tunasema tulikupigia kura kwa sababu wewe ni mtoto wa Busia. Hatukukupigia kura ati kwa sababu wewe ni wa kabila fulani. Ama kabila fulani linafaa likuwe governor for 10 years. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo ambayo tulifanya. Sisi tulikupigia kura kama mtoto wa Busia uende ufanye kazi. Na kama kazi imekushinda, sisi tunauliza mambo ya kazi, sio mambo ya ukabila. So mimi nasisikika sana nikiona ndugu yangu Jamong akianza kutembea, anaanza kusema ati mimi nataka kuchukua kiti ya kabila lake.
Lazima watu pia watutambue. Tumeshachapisha kwa kitabu, nitakuwa nikigawa. Kwa hivyo mimi nasema watu wakikuja kutafuta kura wakati huu, muulize tangu uanze kufanya na serikali, ulikuwa waziri, ulileta kitu gani Busia County uliacha? Sivyo? Kila mtu aulizwe. Hata kama ni Attorney General, wewe ulikuwa namba 3 kwa serikali ya Moi, kwa serikali ya Kibaki, miaka 20. Ni kitu gani unaweza jivunia ukirudi Busia uliacha? Sawa? Sio tu muda anakuja kupapasa nyinyi ya shilingi 100 na hataenda kukulala huko Nairobi miaka zote.
Well, that was a face-off between the current Busia Governor, Peter Ojamong, and Funyula Member of Parliament, Paul Otuoma. Paul Otuoma, they're trying to discredit the current governor, that is Ojamong, and of course Ojamong definitely trying to defend himself. Let me just start with you, Brian, again. Clearly here, there's a very, we've seen them, the results during the ODM primaries were very close. So this time round, the NASA leaders was very clear, time and again saying that if you are an independent candidate, then don't expect support from NASA's supporters. So once he gets to Busia, of course he's there as we're speaking. If he endorses Sospito Ojamong, how will this go down with the Funyula people?
I think every party knows that it has to exercise that independence, and every party has that obligation to ensure that it gives full support to its candidates. And anybody coming in the name of an independent candidate but disguising himself that is also aligned to that particular wing, then it will be also an interesting scenario for us to analyze. But I know Raila has been very categorical that the people have to vote on a 6-piece sort of formation where from the top to the bottom, it has to be within that particular formation of NASA. Although I'm not going to trash his candidature in the name of Otuoma, he's a man who also knows how to marshal the ground and also to mobilize people. He has a huge, strong base, and if you look at the statistics in terms of the difference, apart from the ballooning of the votes that were done during the primaries, if it were done on an open sort of manner, a transparent manner, you would find that it would have been a close fight between the two. But because of those kind of ballooning of votes and skewed decision making, I think that's how he fell out. But all is going to give Otuoma a run for his money. But again, Otuoma, of course, is enjoying all the powers, trappings of incumbency. He has all this machinery that comes with the governorship, and it's up to him. This seat is for him to lose, owing to the fact that also he is a close relative, so I'm told, to Raila and so on and so on.
He also served as a minister some time back.
Absolutely.
Prof, do you think this 6-piece narrative, to be specific in Busia County, do you think it's going to be realistic, achievable for NASA perhaps?
No, it's a wishful thinking. If you just look at the parliament that has disappeared and the team, there are so many people who are elected without being in the main party. And the reason they were elected was because the voters know how to distinguish between an individual person that they want and the claims of the party. So the 6-piece thing is a thing, and no more than that. And so that's why we are going to have a lot of people being elected, not being in ODM or being in Jubilee, because what we may call the men in black phenomenon, which is very devastating. Because when people remember that, they don't want to elect somebody who was put there as a party nominee by dubious means. And that in itself resonates very well. If, for instance, in Busia, the voters in Busia believe that Otuoma was cheated, if they believe that, then they'll vote for him, irrespective of what the party wants. If they believe that Ojamuong won fairly, they'll still vote for. So it is the decision of the voter once you get to the ballot box. And what does the voter want? And what does the voter remember? If somebody was put there by the Men in Black phenomenon, most likely that person will lose. If somebody genuinely lost, that person will still lose. So I mean, so Otuoma has a very big chance. And because Busia is one of the places where we saw during the primaries very shady things taking place. And people have long memories with that.
Jerem, you being part of NASA, I'm sure you know the intrigues within that coalition. Do we expect, or can you predict what the NASA leader, Raila Odinga, is going to do as far as endorsing a candidate for the governor's position is concerned? Do you think he's going to go with Ojamong and leave alone Otomo, because Otomo was also a close confidant of him not so long ago?
First, I think the six-piece thing will not work. And what I would advise the former Prime Minister while in Busia is to ask for his votes. Reason being, first of all, there was no nomination in Busia. What we had is appointment of the current governor as the flag bearer for the ODM ticket in Busia. But we need not to throw away the statistics, given that we have Teso North and Teso South as being said as a stronghold for the current governor, while all the others are perceived strongholds for Otoma Paul Nyongesa. And given that this is a rural setup, meaning how they live within, given, I think it's only Busia that we can say it's more of cosmopolitan, but the others are more of, the communities. And given whatever he's saying, I think Otoma has got a very high chance to win. And it's the sixth piece. I would, again, advise the former Prime Minister, only ask for your vote. Don't ask for the governor's vote.
Speaking of the county being cosmopolitan,
sure.
Can you really say, can you really refer Busia County as a NASA stronghold? Because I'm seeing two constituencies here, that is Teso North and South.
Absolutely.
Which members of parliament right now, the current members of parliament, have been elected through the URP party?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, in fact, you're right. And if you look at the democratic maturity and the levels of awareness of 2013 and today, they are quite different. And the electorates have really grown in terms of understanding the political scenario, the dynamics and all that as compared to 2013. And therefore, if by 2013 URP was able to, gain or garner 2 members of parliament, or put 2 members of parliament in the House in Teso South and North, then I think, as Professor said, it's a democratic county. We are likely to see the dynamics changing also. We are likely to see Jubilee maybe getting something also, and maybe the parties that are affiliated to NASA also gaining something. But to say that this is going to be purely a NASA, state of affair in terms of voting patterns, I think we might be jumping the ship before, because if history is anything to go by, then anything can happen. If Teso North and South is anything to go by, then we anticipate even this, coming into play as far as Jubilee also picking 1 or 2 of the seats. But for MCAs is a bit tricky, because if you look at the dynamics there, what they did, there was only one MCA in 2013 from URP, and I think that still says that that's still a NASA strong zone. But it's up to Jubilee now to make more, efforts to ensure that they, destabilize the status quo and perhaps pick 1 or 2 seats to ensure at least. In fact, somebody said Jubilee's business is not to go and win the Western Bloc, but at least to get some numbers to enrich their baskets.
Prof, I don't know how you're well conversant with the Busia politics, but do you think this Teso factor might come in handy for Jubilee this time around?
It could be a factor. Whether it's an overwhelming factor is another matter. The seeming division within Busia along supposed ethnic lines cannot be ignored. And if for some reason one section feels that it is being shortchanged for ulterior motives somewhere else, then the likely reaction is to have a boomerang. And if there is a boomerang, because people are unhappy, there may be some other people sitting somewhere being very happy to collect the fruits. And don't forget in Busia, that's why you have Ababu. And remember that Ababu was used to call himself commander.
Yes.
The general.
He's now part of Jubilee.
The commander of the Raila forces.
Yes.
He's no longer commanding anything there. So.
Jerem, clearly there's a threat to NASA's vote in Busia. Do you think that is the case, perhaps on the ground?
When you talk of NASA as a threat, I don't think so. What
Jubilee being a threat to NASA, because everyone perceives Busia to be an opposition stronghold.
What I think the threat is in the other seats, but not on the presidential voting.
Oh, the presidential vote is secured.
Yeah, that is a keyword. But on the other seats, clearly, from statistics, we think that there might be a lot of threat from Jubilee, given the other seats here. Yeah.
You've heard that, Brian.
I do agree.
It seems, people might vote for other parties in the other 6 seats, but when it comes to presidential results,
yes.
Jerem says, then that's nothing to argue about. It's for Raila Odinga. I don't know if you agree with that.
I think our country is so ethnicized, so balkanized in the sense that Jubilee might go in Western Kenya with a lot of goodies, or Raila might go to maybe Central Kenya with a lot of goodies. But at the end of the day, when it comes to voting, they still conglomerate, coalesce, along that person because of the ethnicized nature of our politics. And therefore, I do agree with my brother Mutumishi when he says at the presidential level, perhaps it is there for Raila to grab the whole of the Western. Maybe the 2% that they got last time, perhaps it can increase maybe to 5% if it has to go further than that, thanks to maybe inroads made by Ababu, the commander, and maybe Lusakas, and maybe other Jubilee, key fellows who have been actually selling the Jubilee agenda in Western Kenya. But as far as the presidency is concerned, I think it is still for Raila. Yeah.
Prof, politics is always about speculation. And yesterday, as we've already said, Raila Odinga was in Vihiga. Today, of course, yesterday as well, President Uhuru Kenyatta was in Meru, I believe. So today, the president is in Vihiga. Perhaps, what do you think might be his agenda? When he's talking to the people there, what do you think will be his selling point?
Well, see, President Uhuru is a very personable person. He's very likable. And when he comes, other than the fact that he's the president, there is that personality that is like a magnet. And he knows that. So the more he goes into some places, the more he's likely to attract. He will not attract everybody, but at least you get some votes, some extra votes. And
attraction in terms of his demeanor or in terms of his development initiative?
No, his demeanor. No, we are not just talking about personality.
Yeah.
The development agenda, he has it. But whether he sells it properly or not is another matter.
Yeah.
Because it's an issue of propaganda. But the way he presents himself, he is very admirable. And there are a lot of people who want to see this youngish man, comparatively, comparing to his rival. He's the younger man. So they want to see him. He's articulate and all those things. Don't forget, as you point out, that there are other players in the region who are for him. Previously, they may not have been for him. And of course, you look at Lusaka, Malwa. You cannot ignore these people just like that. Just because of some wishful thinking that. So there has been some narrative that has been orchestrated, which to a large extent is a myth. To say that the whole Western is Raila's ODM thing, and that nobody else has anything close to it, I think it's a myth. And the most and I think that's why you can see this very strong fight, because they also know it's a myth.
Yeah.
So you fight for everything, and that's why they are all there. They know there's a basket there. At present, many of those votes may be in the Raila ODM camp.
Yes.
You don't dispute that. But to say that most of them are, all of them, 90%, I think that's far stretched. I would say maybe 60% is really in the Raila ODM camp.
The 40% is up
The
for
40% is up for grabs, and maybe Uhuru has 25%.
That is according to Prof. Jeremy, do you have something to say about that? Do you think Jubilee might get the 40% that they're looking for?
First of all, I think the reason as to why the two presidential candidates are so much in Western, we ought not to forget the younger generation, the millions, about 3 million, that is 1824, that you're talking about, and that is quite a critical number if you look at that. And therefore, according to me, I don't think, first of all, the 40% may be for President Uhuru. That may be a wishful thinking. But of course, yes, it is not all the votes are ODM or NASA for that matter in Western. That because others also have a lot of following. We ought not to wish them away. But yes, it is true that the ODM presidential candidate and NASA for that matter, Raila Odinga, has got majority of it, but not all.
But not all.
Not all.
I think you agree with Prof. there.
I do also agree with him. And when it comes to, I think I just want to pick from what Prof had indicated in terms of politics versus the personality aspect of it.
Yeah.
And if you look at the person of Uhuru Kenyatta, this time round, he seems to have actually put a lot of emphasis on the regions which are perceived not to be traditionally supportive on his candidature in 2013. And again, if you look at the kind of crowds that he has been pulling all along in those perceived as strongholds, they are huge crowds. And to me, this is the time I have a huge feeling that he is going to run away with a huge chunk of the votes from the areas which are perceived to be NASA strongholds. And he knows that. He knows that he has his base consolidated. And he is out there now to go deeper shores fishing to ensure that at least he adds something on top of what he already knows that he has as far as the central Rift Valley vote is concerned. But again, if you look at his way of conduct before. Yeah. President Uhuru has actually demystified the presidency, as opposed to how we used to see presidents carrying themselves and their code of conduct and all that. This time around, he has actually demystified the presidency in the sense that he has showed every person in this country that is reachable, is a person who can mingle with every person. And to me, is a person whom I can say is still holds the presidency with some swag, something which is very admirable. And when it comes to those crowds, people would want to see him, people would want to have a piece of him. And that seems to be working for him. He's relatable. Yeah. He is able to actually juggle between, breaking those traditionally perceived tags or relationships that you cannot relate to somebody of Jubilee when you are traditionally known to be a NASA person. So he's actually making people to think twice about that kind of relationship. And the people are saying, yes, oh yes, he might be a Jubilee, we might be supporters of NASA, but he's actually is appealing to us, and that's why you can see the crowds are quite swelling just to come and be part and parcel of that kind of environment.
Before you cross over to Meru and what the president had to say while in Meru, Prof, I'd like to hear your view on this. The president has been very much concentrating in Western Kenya. Some time back he was going to Mombasa like almost every time in a month. Do you think his concentration in all these areas will cost him his traditional voting base?
Not much. And of course, there have been some grumblings. Hey, why is he also on that side?
Yes.
We also need to see him. That has been there. It is true. But I don't think it will erode that much, that to the point where he may not get as much as he should. I think he will still get most of the votes in the region. It is, if we said it was true of the Western among the Luhya, it is also possible in the mountain area that Raila will get a few more votes than he got the last time. These are the realities. The amount of erosion is now the question. And so when he goes to the coast, last time he did fairly well, but not that well. So he wants to improve that performance. I think he will improve. He will not get everything, but he will improve.
Especially now that he has brought some members of parliament from the coast on board. Now, there's something you mentioned about Mount Kenya region, and Meru is one of them. The president was there yesterday. Let's just listen into what the president had to say to the people. people of Meru.
Uadui na mtu yeyote. Tunaelewana? Sisi haja yetu ni tushindane na wale ambao wanataka kutuletea taabu katika taifa letu, na hawa ni wale watu ya naso wa huko. Au mnataka kitendawili ingie upande huu? Unajua anazunguka anasema ati watu ya Lare, watu ya Meru ati watampatia kura safari hii. Kuna mambo ya kitendawili hapa Lare? Kuna mambo ya kitendawili hapa? Hebu nionyeshe ya kwamba hapa hakuna kitendawili ambayo inatembea. Na ndipo tuwasema, hata kama mko na wengine ambao labda huyu anataka huyu huku chini, mimi nawauliza tu, tutafute kura yetu kwa amani. Si ni namna hiyo? Tutafute kura yetu kwa amani, si ndio? Kwa sababu uadui hatutaki, na mimi vile nasema kila wakati, sisi hatutaki kuona umwagikaji wa damu ati kwa sababu ya kura. Tutafute kwa amani, na nyinyi vijana na wasii sana. Kenya ya leo na kesho ni yenu. Musitumiwe na viongozi kupigana.
That's President Uhuru Kenyatta addressing the people of Meru yesterday. And of course, this show is all about campaign trails. As we're speaking right now, the president is in Kaimosi, where we're getting reports that he has just finished attending a church service and is currently opening a hospital there. We're going to go there live once we get those pictures. Brian, you've seen the president there saying that there's no time for what he termed as quote-unquote kitendawili.
Sure.
There's some of the propagandas, going on right now. Do you think we should expect more of that?
Of course, now it's
the candidates taking on each other.
Now it's bare knuckles. Of course, gloves are off, and each candidate is actually trying to find the soft or identify the below belt, components to hit it harder than before. And by so doing, you could hear even Raila and company, the brigade of NASA, wherever they go there, they are also trying to, depict the other side as corrupt, unable, and also, a failed system. So it's about now trying to identify weaknesses on the other side. But again, when you listen to Uhuru in Meru, he was a kind of bit clever in terms of his utterances, because he knows the ground is very, very different this time around. In 2013, he could go there and say, vote for this fella. But this time around, because of the dynamics having changed, because of Munya versus Kiraitu relationship, you realize that the president cannot just throw words anyhow, because he knows Munya, as much as he's not a Jubilee fella, he has huge numbers, and he's only concerned
and the incumbent,
incumbent, and he can tilt the scales whenever things are not right. And therefore, he was very, very, clever in the sense that he was able to ensure that he maintains the vote for the Meru vote, and at the same time ensuring that he offers that freedom to the people to decide on whom to elect at the lower cadre seats. But at the top, he was very categorical that he came there to amass those votes in one basket.
Prof, it's a political season. We're just basically 43 days shy away from the D-Day, that is the August 8th. And clearly, propaganda started taking shape, smear campaigns. And let me just zero in on Meru. Earlier, the last weekend, NASA were there, and people referred to it as, being a successful sort of campaign. And when President Uhuru stepped in, and he also got a huge following as well in Meru, people started saying that those are jobless people in Meru County who have attended the rally.
Well, you hear a lot of things.
Yes.
And yes, there are also a lot of jobless people attending all the rallies.
Not just one.
Not just one.
Yes.
And not just jobless people, but people who are employed to be changing T-shirts. So
that's a fact.
It's a fact. You come today, and Tumishi there wears your T-shirt. The minute you leave, Brian comes, and then they wear Brian's T-shirt. There are a lot of those professional T-shirt wearers. That some of them are in those,
especially border fellas.
But as much as this propaganda, I think there's very important issues the president raised. He had given about 1 billion shillings to Mira farmers, promising them that he'll turn the crop into a cash crop. He also gave about 300,000, or is it 500,000 title deeds and land. We're very sure it's an emotive issue in this country. Do you think all this will maybe come in handy
terms of performance,
to give him some traction?
If you step aside, maybe away from the campaign, the president has a lot of things to be proud of. That one is a fact. Now, in the campaign time...
Jeremy will react to that. You'll react to that.
It's okay. He's allowed to be wrong. So the thing is, in the campaign time, a lot of things get buried. Because if they don't look good for your side, why would you want to emphasize it?
Yes.
And we see what is happening is that ODM is trying to project itself as a savior. Yeah? Say things are so bad, you need somebody to save you for the Kenyans. Yeah? And when he will save you, this is what we are going to do. That's what we are hearing. From September...
Actually, that is what the all Canaan narrative is.
Yeah, the Canaan, you know, the Joshua thing.
Yes.
Which I think is a terrible mistake, the Joshua analogy, because it's a warmongering analogy. And you can see the other side is busy saying, we are peaceful. Yeah? And you see the president in Meru says, we want peace. Muchaguane, whoever you want. Yeah. I'm not endorsing anybody. And I think that's what Jared was trying to advise Raila. Don't go and say just one so. Because it can boomerang in a very bad way, especially where people are very split. So the assertion by the president, let us be peaceful. Let us vote. Everybody come and vote. Hoping that they will vote for him. But everybody come and vote in order to ensure that we have a... But don't engage in any type of violence. The people who are standing, they are all good people. So choose whom you want.
Prof, your point is home and dry. I'm sure, Jared, you want to react to that. Yeah. Do you agree that the president has done a lot, especially for the people of Meru? Don't you think the misgivings,
not just
perhaps,
Meru,
the whole country. Do you think the misgivings within, you know, the Jubilee government, don't you think it might make some people, to be specific, we're talking about Meru, do you think it might make some people, you know, join the other side?
Let me just pick it from where Prof left it. And he said it, that the president is happy himself of what he has done. Yeah. The people are not happy of what he has done. Let me just advise Prof that developments that don't determine whether you'll be elected or not. What determines here in this country is your tribal or the
that's a sad state of affairs,
not development.
Absolutely.
So it is not true that development may make the Jubilee to win this. No. It's about the propaganda and the number that they have in terms of the number of people that come from the ethnic cocoons. Two, I think two things that Uhuru said over there. One is about peace, and I think for that I congratulate him. He was very clear.
You agree with him on
that? Yes, that really we need peace. But there's something that Jubilee has always been saying in every rally they go to, that there are people that are in NASA, and this need to come out. There are people that were in NASA that were in government as long as before some of us were born. Do they have anything to show that they did? You know, that they were, first of all, in government? That also is a critical question that they ask every time, and indeed, Kenyans also need to ask themselves. Is it about being myself being informed? No. It's about, let's look at this thing critically. Some people in NASA were in government for so many years, 30 years and above. Some were vice presidents, some were, ministers. What do they have to show? And what are they going to do now, if they're given power, that they didn't do for the last 25 years while they're in power? I think those are very critical issues that need to be addressed.
Just to pick on what Mutumishi is actually trying to say.
Yes.
When it comes to measuring growth in this country and the yardstick that we need to use to measure how these personalities have been able to bring some sort of change in this country. To me, I think if you go by the period between 1963 and immediately after when we adopted the devolution system. That period, the 24 years of Mzee Kenyatta, of Moi, and the years that Mzee Kenyatta, the Mzee, of course, not the Kijana, those are the years that I can say as a country, we were in the wilderness. We did not have structures. Our systems were not okay. And I think that aspect of development, it could not come out clearly. But since the inception of the concept of devolution, thanks to the new constitution, I think this is the time now we can be able to develop a good matrix, a good scorecard, and be able to measure these personalities against what they do. But because of the kind of politics that we are operating in as a country, you realize that, to me, it will not be fair if you judge, Kalonzo, Raila, against what they were not able to do in those years of Moi and Kenyatta, because the systems were not in place.
Yes.
But this time around, when we have a new dispensation, the structure is there, devolution is working. This is the time now when we need to now start measuring from where Kibaki took over since 2002, coming this way. That is a good kind of space for us now to be able to analyze how somebody was able to perform.
Yes.
But before, to me, it was just a time in the wilderness for this country.
Okay, let's not lose focus. Today, the president is in Vihiga, and NASA leader, that is former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is in Busia. And there's something very much interesting that came up within this week. And all these Luhya leaders, Ford Kenya leader Moses Wetangula, we have NNC, there is Musalia Mudavadi, they all have been talking about Luhya unity. It's been very much elusive. I think it's something we're going to talk about. And something interesting that also came up this week is some sentiments that were made by NASA leader Raila Odinga with regards to the government trying to use the military in rigging this year's election. Let's listen in.
Vile mkuu wao alisema hawatakikani waingie mambo ya siasa. Wawache watu wa siasa wafanye siasa. Na wawache na hii mambo ya kuleta raia ndani ya vituo vya jeshi. Kwa nini county commissioners? Hata ingine naitwa at regional coordinators. Wanapelekwa ndani ya Embakasi Barracks. Atakufundisha mambo ya usalama. Hiyo ni njama ya kujaribu kuingiza majeshi kwa wizi wa kura. Na tumekataa. Simekataa.
Achane na jeshi ya Kenya. We have a professional military. We should keep petty pedestrian politics out of our military.
Almost predictably there, Jubilee, through the Deputy President William Ruto, reacting to that statement that was earlier made by NASA leader Raila Odinga, that the government is planning to use military to rig this year's elections. Brian, let me just start with you again. Actually, let me go to Prof. Let me start with Prof. Prof, you've heard what both leaders talking about. Do you think these are just sideshows? Because basically this is a campaign season and they're supposed to major on their development agendas?
I think it's very disturbing, actually. Trying to involve the ministry.
Yes.
Our military has been always very professional, and they've upheld themselves at all times, as far as I know. So I think it was very wrong for the ODM leader to try and sneak them in a political thing. It's very wrong, and his advisors should advise him to desist. It's not good.
Is he talking based on evidence, or what do you think?
I don't know, because I don't know what it is that, I'm an observer, just like you. But either way, it is very bad.
Yeah.
And it takes away votes from him.
What if he brings forward some sort of evidence?
It also appears, because he's very good at attacking institutions, discrediting institutions of the country. And then when there is chaos, the ground is already set for chaos by saying, oh, you cannot trust the IBAs, oh, you cannot trust the courts, oh, you cannot trust the military, so you cannot trust anything. So you wonder what the hell is going on here. Because if you want a country that's functional, you don't go around destroying institutions, whether it's campaign rhetoric or whatever it is. So it was very unfortunate for him to do that. And I wish he would desist. Because it is not adding value to him.
To his campaign?
No, it is not.
I'm sure his supporters will disagree with that.
That's
Brian,
okay. Yeah.
This is not the first time that we're seeing this kind of sentiments from the former Prime Minister. Do you think it's based on some facts?
I think I do concur with my good prof here when he talks about the issues of involving the military in matters of politics. I think ever since independence, we have never seen in any given situation, military involvement in matters of elections and so on and so on. And matters of security in this country, especially when it touches the issue of military, it is a very sensitive matter. And Raila himself knows that is a very sensitive issue, very emotive. And when he tries to drag the involvement of military in this political, array, then he's making a big mistake, because perhaps if he has some sort of evidence, I think the best way he would have actually addressed it, it was actually in a better way, but not in a political rally. Again, when you look at matters of national security, this has been an issue that has never been, has been a no-go zone as far as politics are concerned. I remember the last time he talked about military involvement, he was actually mentioning that they are somehow idle in their barracks, and they should be using their good energy for the benefit of physical development, participation in terms of development in this country, which was good. But this time around, when he talks about military involvement in matters of election rigging, I think that actually has hit, the administration below the belt, and it is not good. It's not a good precedent that is setting, because the moment you dilute the very essence of our supremacy in terms of our military, then I think you are making a grievous mistake for this country.
Do you think the former Prime Minister made that statement that he made about the military in vain, or perhaps do you think it has some facts in it? It's a hard question.
I think looking at the history that we have, yes, some of the institutions before have been involved in election, and I've never heard of the military, and I would agree with Prof that on this, I think he went so low to talk about the military being involved in this election. I won't love to support that, and if there is evidence that indeed the military, out of evidence that indeed the military is part of this, then you need to bring it forth so that again, Kenyans then can critically analyze whatever the information that he has. But on saying it on a public, like in Ambale, like yesterday, I think that, to me, was very unfortunate and is sad for this country to bring in quite a sensitive institution into election in this country.
However, Yusuf, before we digress from that point, I think when you look at other instruments such as provincial administrators, now the county commissioners and all that, when you see them actually working for the government, sometimes it becomes very hard to differentiate between our political activity and our party activity. And while it is the honors of or an obligation of the government of the day to make sure that some of the systems, especially security, are optimally functioning, it would be suicidal or unfortunate if whatever we see in any involvement of this kind of cadre, especially those who are directly related to security matters, whatever we see them involved, we always rush to actually see them actually as if they are working for the opposite party.
Brian, hold on to that thought.
But also,
well, we'll just come back to you, but let's go straight to Funyula, where NASA leader, that is former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is addressing the people there.
ODM, for Kenya, ANC, Wiper, CCM, Nasawa, Moses Masika Wetangula. Wanafanya mlembe, Lambarandi, Murimoyo. Leo tuko hapa kuwaomba tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 Raila Amolo Odinga ataonana na Uhuru Kenyatta Mundu, na nyinyi mko tayari kutembea na yeye? Hebu tuone kwa mkono. Ndugu wa Funyula, mnajua mimi nimekuja na kupiga rali mingi sana hapa, nikisema nataka kuwa rais wa Kenya. Wewe kijana, nyamaza. Hii si baraza ya chief. Hii ni rally ya president. Mnasikia? Hii hapana baraza ya chief. Hii ni rally ya nani? Kwa hivyo tusikize, Weta akimaliza, hawa ndugu zetu watamsalimia, alafu tukimbie Bumala, tukimaliza tuende Busia. Sawa? Hata kama unapenda mtu hayuko hapa, nyamaza tu, hiyo ni roho yako. Mimi nilikuja hapa mara mingi nikiwaambia nataka kuwa rais wa Kenya, mkaniambia endelea, lakini tulikuwa wangapi? Watano: Isaac Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, Weta, Kalonzo na ndugu Raila hapa. Na kiti ni ngapi? Moja tu. Matako ya wanaume tano hawezi kutoshea kwa hiyo kiti. Ni mmoja tu anaweza kukalia. Na sisi tukachinyima, tukasema kama tunataka kukomboa Kenya, tutoe ufisadi, tutoe wizi, tutoe ukabila, tutoe kuharibu uchumi, alafu wananchi wapate haki yao. Lazima tukubaliane, na tukasema mmoja wetu ambaye ni Raila Amolo Odinga atakuwa flaka bora wetu. Na hapa ingo tunajua nyinyi mko Nasa, hakuna cha kusema, ila tunakuja kuwaomba tu ni kwamba tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 Ohabolo Raila kabira hale kura maleso hupe kura ta. Wauliziane, Bulumundu lazima arre achikape ekura yewe ni Raila the president.
Well, if you're just joining us, those are live pictures coming away from Funyula, that is in Busia County, the home turf of Paul Otuoma, a man who is eyeing the governor's position there through an independent. He's an independent, rather, and we're expecting former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to also address the people of Funyula there. Before he does that, let's take a very short break, but we'll be right back with much more. Don't go too far.